Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this world. I hope you are safe. I hope you are well. And Phoebe, it is always good to be with you. And I know it's morning where you are at the moment, and I hope that all is safe and not disrupted too much for you.
Morning, Graham. Morning, everyone, and good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Yeah, it is fantastic. Sun is shining. The celebration of Eid will be happening in few days in this part of the world.
Yep.
We are all doing well. So good to be with you.
Yeah. And I'm particularly concerned and aware, and perhaps not aware as much as I would like, because I'm not there in Dubai as I used to be. But of course, it is at the moment difficult times. And we're coming up now to the period of Eid al-Fitr, which is a time of great joy for my wonderful Muslim friends. And yet we are living, particularly if you live in any of the Gulf countries, living with a cloud above. Not that there's many clouds in that part of the world, but there is a dark cloud of what might happen. And of course, that's of great concern. Even if it's just another drone or something else or another missile that's sent, it's almost a contrast to the wonderful period of Eid. So for anybody who's with us and who doesn't listen to this immediately, maybe Eid is coming up or may even have been, let me say right up front that I trust that Eid is a blessed time for you and your families to celebrate this wonderful part of the end of Ramadan. So that's important because we're in challenging times, and I hope there's health, happiness, and safety, particularly for everybody. So, Phoebe, what are we going to talk about? Apart from
Graham,
fun.
uh, we are going through, like for example, um, a disruption in one way, with which is impacting all of us. Especially, we all come across on the energy prices. We all come across decisions people make, and uh, and again, based on our conversation in the past, the topic which is coming to my mind is, how can we challenge the process which we go through, and
Ah,
and and also, um, you know, how does a disruption look like from an organizational, from a workforce perspective, from a work perspective, and what can we do about that? So again, thanks to you for guiding us in that point of topic, which is, for example, uh, from a leadership lens, what can we do to challenge the process, or simply a disruptor?
you're talking about the top five of the five practices of exemplary leadership, and that is challenge the process. Because I was kind of avoiding saying it's my favorite, but it certainly is one which rates up. They're all my favorites. Don't be stupid, Graham. They're all my favorites. But challenge the process, particularly whenever there's difficulty in our life, a challenge, diversity, change. Oh my gosh, how can we cope with this? And we did had a conversation just recently about the power of what if, which clearly aligns to an attitude around challenge the process. Challenge the process, looking for better ways, different ways of doing things. How can there be a better way? And I realized the other day when there's some challenges in my life, in a couple of different ways, that I realized that I default to that as an attitude whenever there's an issue or a difficulty or something not going as it should. I automatically think, is there a better way of doing that? Is there another way of doing that that's going to be easier and better and more productive and more effective? This is to me, and we talk about the five practices being an ongoing permanent, if we like, mindset that any issues about leadership, we simply default without even thinking about it to whichever behavior is a practice rather is appropriate at that time. I don't have to remind myself to encourage someone's heart, the fifth practice. I don't have to say to myself, oh, hang on, there's a practice, isn't there? Well, oh, it's that one. Is it appropriate now? No, I don't have to do that. Automatically, I will come out, I'm sure, with comments that are encouraging of people when they do something that's really good. This is what happens when we take on these five practices. They become part of our normal way of thinking. And it also gets back to enabling others to act when we encourage people to do things that they perhaps didn't think were possible before. That they then say, oh, yeah, gosh, I did that. And Graham encouraged me and I did it. Woohoo. And also in my professional and personal life, as I mentioned before, I'm thinking about, if there's a problem, how can I do it better? How can I avoid that problem? How can I do the whole thing a totally different way? So one of the challenges, though, is if we have a mindset of that, are we, and when I say we, I mean me and the team, supposedly, or you as a leader and your team, is there a possibility that someone in your team could simply become or be regarded as a disruptor? In other words, someone who doesn't agree with the way things are going and always wants to do it differently. So let's explore for a little moment or two those two ideas that, challenge the process or a disruptor. The disruptor term, we don't like that. So tell me, Phoebe.
I think, other day our vacuum cleaner broke down. So we were exploring which vacuum cleaner to explore. And
Mine was the vacuum cleaner, but I understand what you're saying.
yeah, and this in our research we came across Dyson, and the Dyson, and what I when I just started exploring that, I came across they came with a different and innovative model in the vacuum clean industry, which was actually a disruption, and I think compared to what other products are doing, and I was just seeing the way in which Dyson was challenging the process to come out with what can make Dyson different compared to other vacuum cleaner. So,
Right.
this came to my mind suddenly when we came to
Yeah.
that challenge process.
But Dyson himself, who I think is now a peerage in the British House of Lords because of what he has done and because he was an innovator. He yes, he disrupted, but not in a negative way. And I'm pretty sure that the vacuum process that you were dealing with was the first thing that he challenged and said,
Yeah.
can we do this whole? So until then, there was the typical, we all know what a vacuum cleaner looks like. It's long and it lies on the ground and it's got one end that it comes in and the other end that goes kind of, you know what I mean? And you pull it with you and the cables get stuck and he said, there's got to be an easier way. There's got to be a better way. It's in the same way that Steve Good Job said, there's got to be a better way than this old phone that I'm using. Oh, let's have a smartphone. But Dyson was one who looked for and absolutely turned the vacuum cleaning establishment, if there is such a thing, on its head by saying, let's have this long handle thing. You haven't got to pull it with you. Now, when you finish with it, you click it onto a plug on the wall and it automatically charges. You haven't got to be taking a cable with you around the house to plug it in the next room, which we had to do. So he looked for a totally different way to deliver the result of a clean floor, right? And there's some other things he's done that don't come to mind at the moment. There's some other things that he's looked for being to revolutionize things. So we might say he was a disruptor, but in a powerful way. I
Yeah.
think when we are in a team and we've got someone in that team, what I'm trying to point up, or maybe even avoid having this. But if someone in the team decides just to say, well, what if we did it a different way? And he kind of, she kind of does that to test other people to see what they can come up with. He's a little bit of a little bit negative in a sense. He's been having a bit of fun at them. Oh, we can't do that. Ah, well, see, come on, well, surely there's a way. So it might sound like it's negative, but I do think that even if someone is doing this to challenge to initially not challenge people in the best way, but he might even say, "See, you can't think of a better way." Ha ha. Well, kind of that thing. But what happens is people then in this process move to a mindset like I mentioned that I'm having for a while, when I think, is there a better way of doing this? This is causing me problems. It's not an easy way. There's got to be a better. Is there a better way? So if he, the disruptor, who's a little bit pushing other people, changes mindsets of people who initially would say, oh, we should shut up. He's always wanting to change it. You can't think of a better way, can you? But if you push people like this, they're going likely to find a better way of doing it.
And this reminds, like being in UAE, we have experienced that where from a leadership perspective, always pushing people to think differently. What can we do? And again, I'm just seeing the example of how a city develops. So, for example, if we take Dubai, we have seen that the Dubai Metro being brought to life. And another example is right now the train network being implemented in the region. So how, what if we have better means of transportation? What if we can reduce the cars from the roads? How can we make people's transportation easier? So same way, if we think in organization, what can we do to bring change to our customers' life? What can we do, or what ways we can reduce the cost of our processes? Those thought process can, again, if it is brought to the larger workforce, whether it is an assembly line or whether it is in an office environment, I think this leads to innovation and this leads to enabling experimentation, also while accepting the risk.
Yeah, let me just come back to your comment about Sheikh Mohammed and, well, particularly rather in Dubai. And I have an opinion here because I lived there for 15 years. And I saw in that time, I was blessed to see so much amazing change. You mentioned the metro. And when I first arrived, they were still building the pieces that hold up the rail network. They were still building those big pylon things. And then, of course, they finished them, and away we go. It was a great triumph for the country that on the 9th of the 9th, 2009, I think that's when the first train in the metro line moved forward. So people look at Dubai and say, well, if they're making all this change, how can they do this? I had a local woman say to me once, we were talking about one of the I don't know which change it was coming about. I don't know. And she said one of the really good things, and now she's local, as I said, one of the really good things she said about Sheikh Mohammed is if he wants something to happen, it happens. Now, as we're talking, as I'm just clarifying for people who don't live in Dubai or haven't been to the Middle East, why these things happen and what barriers there are in other countries that don't enable them to happen. So Sheikh Mohammed says, yes, we want this to happen, and it happens. And that's really good. He hasn't got to go through a line of subcommittees upon subcommittees and focus groups and all of that. He makes a decision and it happens. And yes, they've got the funds to be able to make it happen. We know that in other countries around the world, they don't have that ability to fund new things to the extent that they might have in Dubai. And they don't have a cleaner, neater, more direct way of making a decision become the reality, right? So I'm just factoring those into our conversation. rather than just have people say, oh, well, that's just Dubai and how can we do it? And I would like to think that in other countries, that the bureaucrats and the people working with them and even the citizens of the country can still challenge and say, but isn't there a better way to do this? And one of the situations that is bringing in some conversation at the moment is specifically related to the situation in Iran and the reduced availability, put it that way, of global oil supply around the world. And all countries are going to feel this difficulty. Well, there's some discussion here in Australia now about how much oil should we have bunkered, should we have stored in case this happens again. They say they've got approximately 1 month of fuel oil and diesel and so on. Well, what do? Do you make it 5 years supply? It's a hard question to put a number on. What do you need to do to make sure that we have a greater sense of supply occurring rather than being the subject of the issues that are occurring at the moment? So I think and then the cost of building, if we're going to say, well, let's have 6 months of supply, not just 1 month. Well, look at the cost of that, and is it worth it, and how often? So it's a whole range of issues that may impact on the decision that's being made. I know, and I read about it today in the newspaper, but I knew anyway that in terms of challenging the process and looking to avoid or mitigate against, in some way, the issues that have occurred in the Middle East and oil supply. And I think we mentioned this recently, but the UA government, some 12 years ago, built a pipeline from Abu Dhabi to Fujairah. And so that has got them around the Strait of Hormuz for a small amount of the export of the oil that they export. It's by no means the total amount in the pipe that gets the oil out. But they were looking, we have a potential problem. What can we do? And the Saudis are looking at increasing the piping system that they have from one side of Saudi to the other side, to the Red Sea. But then there's a whole lot of... Anyway, the point of all this discussion is we must be having, at a broader context, conversations about how we can improve things. We must be having this. And if it's a small business that's operating with mum and dad making coffee and selling sandwiches as part of their business, I would hope that they're looking for better ways of doing things. If it's an organisation where there's only a staff of 100, I would hope that they are all still looking, and everybody has accountability, in my view, for looking for a better way of doing it. Of saying, is there a better way? And certainly saying, what did we learn from that mistake? And what did we learn because this is a problem? Oh, yeah, we did. Well, we're not going to do that again, and then we'll be saving a lot of money, sort of thing. Conversations about process are so important. And the old line of, well, we've always done it that way, get rid of that. Anybody who says we've always done it that way, we say, well, to the person who says that, we get rid of them. No. But we've got to develop a mindset of challenging, looking for better ways. So many people do it all the time. Some people get stuck and can't do it. And the manager should be driving, the leader should be driving this change.
And yeah, so this reminds me, I read somewhere, in the experiment which Dyson was doing, he had almost 5,126 failed prototypes for his vacuum before it worked or it satisfied him. And again, we have also heard the story of Edison in the creation of
9,999. 9,999, so the story goes.
Yeah, and each failure or it is in data, not defeat.
Yeah, he said, he said, well, the story goes that one of his assistants said, sir, Mr. Edison, you just failed 9,999 times. And he said, no, I haven't. I've just learned 9,999 ways not to do it, right?
And this I also like to bring Elon Musk because the way in which he's deconstructing assumptions using the first principles. We have seen his rockets exploding, especially in SpaceX initial experiments, but still now he's one of the reliable suppliers who delivers things to the space station for NASA.
Yeah, yeah. And of course, having a rocket explode is a bit of an expensive occurrence in your day, isn't it?
Yeah.
Gosh, you mean this? It's different to the stapler deciding not to work. Oh my gosh, you've got to get a new stapler to a rocket that blows up because there was a slight problem, a slight technical problem. Well, we've got to make sure you fix that next time so it doesn't occur. So always looking for better ways to do things.
And again, it is also like, searching for opportunities as Graham, you always highlight what if, or from a questioning perspective, why, and experiment. And also taking a risk while seeing what kind of progress are we making. And that is something which, sometimes we use the phrase, um, identify and see opportunities in a crisis. What are the ways in which you can disrupt this specific situation for something new? And I think as leaders in organization, you should be like a gardener, pruning dead branches, whatever it is, not destroying the plant, that is organization. Uh, in a way, helping and forcing new growth in organization. So that is what challenged the process from a workplace or an organizational context want us to see. And that is what the Cousins and Posner's framework is trying to guide us.
Yeah, and to use your analogy of the plant that you're cutting some branches off, the plant, when it's done the right way, the plant inevitably becomes more robust, right? You cut a branch or so off, and new branches grow in its place or nearby. And I'm a bit of a rose grower, and I know that if the rose dies on the plant, having bloomed beautifully, I know where to cut the branch so that another rose is going to grow. You see, so I learned I learned that from my father a long time ago. So just because we're cutting something doesn't mean we're being disruptive, doesn't mean we're just causing problems because we don't like it. But in fact, it engenders, it builds, it produces new growth. And as to use that analogy that you used before, new growth can often occur when things are changed in organizations because someone in the organization had an idea to change some little thing. And they may not have realized the roll on effect, the multiplier effect of that small change. And one of the things that I keep saying, and I don't think it's done enough, is that in organizations, when there is a change of a process, be a little bit selective, I suppose. But if it's a largish company and if there's a process that's been changed, it might be a simple process. And if it's saving, let's say 1,000 dirhams a month for that small section of the company, if it's a company that has 10 other companies in the group and 10 different divisions, multiply it out and you say, look, one division or one department or section has saved 1,000 dirhams, multiply that across the board. If they introduce the same thing, huge savings. That's the multiplier effect. It's a small change in one section, but when everybody does it, it's a big saving to the company. I'm pushing away at this idea, which is so important, that we all have a mindset of looking for better ways to do things.
And I was just reminded myself using Airbnb for a recent trip, which was actually disrupting the way in which hotels had
Yeah,
monopolies in travel. Now, Brian Chesky, the person behind, was trying to reinvent hospitality, challenging the current processes.
yeah.
And what we have seen is how can we create experimentation with peer-to-peer stays? And here is, using the trust as milestone.
Yeah. Look, when you say that with Airbnb, it reminds me of Uber. Now, okay, we know in the Middle East it's a different setup, but we also know, as those who used to live there, if you order an Uber, it's likely to be a Lexus, and it's not the car that that person drives himself to work, because it doesn't work that way in Dubai. Uber is a different model, but we all know about Uber around the world. So the car that you're going to get come pick you up is probably going to be a Lexus rather than a Toyota Corolla or whatever, but that's fine. The model is slightly different. But in the rest of the world, if I've got a car and I've got some hours spare, I can link up to the system and get approved, whatever. I don't know the process you go through, but I can become an Uber driver. I don't want to, but I could. Or because someone said, what about we try this? What about we have individual people being able to charge for the use of their car and for them to drive their car to the destination? Wow. Obviously, there are regulatory things that had to be dealt with, and yeah, all of it, but someone said, let's try it, looking for better ways of doing things. But if we can look for better ways within our organization, I haven't told this story for a while, but I know that in Oman some years ago, a gentleman I still have a good relationship with, everybody in the department had in his section of 12 or 15 staff, they all had their own printer next to their desk. Their own printer. That's pretty cool, isn't it? You want to print something, you just push the button and it comes out. There, you haven't got to leave your chair to get the copy. Here's the oh, that's really good. He did some research. He said there's got to be a better way than saving here. He did some research and he had a deal with the provider of the printer and copier, that they would be given one only for the department of 10 or 15 people, one only. And they would take away the old ones, the others, and were given this new one. People were saying, "Oh no, but I need to print pages, and I need to have any of the little problems that they had were all solved." And he was saving the company something like 5,000 dirhams a month. Saving what? I said, tell everybody in the organisation, all the other departments, to do the same thing. You'll save $50,000 dirhams a month. Tell people, have an attitude of change. Thank you very much. I think I'll take a breath.
Yeah. No, I think when you see that kind of cost saving, if it happens on an year, if we see for a month this much, you can see a important cost saving over a period of, let us say, 1 year, and that can be utilized for something else, which can be, for example, like an innovation program or something else, something like that within the organization. So I think, as you said, it is about seeking opportunities when we challenge the process. It is about experimenting when we say challenge the process. It is about learning and also the failures, how it helps in our learning process in our workplace.
It's also about, as a leader, giving your team members permission to challenge. If you don't like something, there's a better way, come and say to me, I don't like this way we're doing it. Okay, good. How do you think we should do it? What do you suggest? Oh, well, okay, I think we should try this and this. So I think part of this process is an attitudinal, I was going to say change, but in some cases it may be a change where they don't feel intimidated in offering a suggestion about a change, whether it's a small change or a larger change. They need to be often given permission to look at better ways of doing things. Managers, and here am I getting on my horse about my horse. Well, you know what I mean by my horse. my stage, whatever, the thing that I make a point about, that it's really important that people are given that permission to question. A manager likely will say, no, we've always done it that way. Just keep doing it that way. I haven't got time to talk about that. What? Yeah, but if we change that, then we're going to change this and this. No, just do it the way we've been doing it. Please. What would have happened if Dyson had responded negatively to that? We wouldn't have the Dyson vacuum cleaner and other innovative ideas. What would have happened if someone said to Steve Jobs, "No, no, we can't do that. Just stick with the phones you've got. Oh, keep changing this world."
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah, the way in which Elon Musk reduced the cost with the reusable rockets, which
Yeah,
is which
sure.
is a tremendous improvement that rather than sending one rocket and building the next one for the next mission. So the reusability, what can we reuse? What can we reinvent? What
Yeah.
can we repurpose? These are all part of challenging the process.
Sure. Now, it's not just rocket ships. It might be the stapler in the office, for instance.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
you know what? But look for things to be able to change. And when you mentioned that about Musk and returnable, reusable rocket ships, for so many years, I'm used to see these rocket ships going up and a little capsule coming down because the rocket ships been built to burn off into space, and this little capsule comes down. You think, oh wow, isn't that good? Not anymore. We're bringing the rocket ship back, and we're going to use it again. Whoa! That's the way to go. It isn't the
Yeah.
world we want when we're not fighting about it. Keep looking for better things. Bibby, thank you so much for your time. I wish you good health, and I wish you above all safety where you are at the moment.
Thank you, Graham. And I want our viewers, our listeners, to explore what can I challenge in our process, and bring in your thoughts, bring in your comments. What can I reuse? What can I repurpose?
Oh,
What kind of learning I'm able to have? Pick one process,
yeah,
challenge it.
absolutely. Find another way of doing things. Again, Bibby, thank you so much. Have a great week ahead. I hope it's immensely, I haven't used that for a while, and specifically and wonderfully successful for you in the week ahead. Thank you, Bibby.
Thank you, Graham, and bye to all our viewers, listeners. Good day to all.